Okay, welcome everybody.
Hello.
My name is Peter. I'm from England. I'm a teacher in MyS Florence. I'm 37 years old and I like playing guitar and running in the countryside. This is my friend Fabio. Fabio, would you like to introduce yourself,
Hello.
please?
Nice to meet you, everyone. Yeah, my name's Fabio. I'm also from England. I'm from London, but my mother is French, my father's Italian, so I'm a big soup. I'm from everywhere. I live in Lyon. I teach here at MyS Lyon. And what do I like? I like traveling and music and pizza. I really like pizza.
Well,
Uh,
how's the pizza in Leon, Fabio?
It's terrible, to be quite honest, Peter, compared to Italy. So I used to live in Naples for a while, and then I lived in the north of Italy. Honestly, the pizza here barely gets as good as 3 out of 10 at the best, maybe 2 out of 10.
Well, you were spoiled, absolutely living
Absolutely,
in Napoli, I think. Yeah, I can't imagine the pizza's so good in Leon, but the other food's nice, right?
yeah, absolutely. Well, we're the gastronomic capital of France, and France is obviously a very strong country culinarily. And anyway, we're from England, so everything's a step up for us, right?
Everything's good, right? Everything we eat is better than what we eat in England.
We have a
It's
couple of people here already. Just say hello to Marie
Hi, Marie.
and hello, Luca.
Luca from Bologna. Welcome, Luca. It's very good to see you here today. I have to ask, Fabio, I have to ask the burning question. Is food better in Italy or in France?
I'm not at liberty to answer that question. My lawyers have informed me it would not be advisable.
Would I be disappointed in you if you answered that question? Do you think,
No,
Fabio?
I prefer the food in Italy personally, but I don't think my students will be very happy with me for saying that. We've got a few.
Hopefully they're late. Hopefully they haven't tuned in yet, right?
Yeah, hopefully. Well, let's see who has tuned in. Who do we have? We have one of our students from Lyon. We have Florian. Hi, Florian. How are
Hey,
you
Florian.
today? We have Federica from Milan. Hi, Federica.
Hi, Federica.
We have another one of our Lyon students. We have Tatiana. Hey, Tatiana. She's originally from St. Petersburg, but has been living in Lyon for 3 years and has obviously been studying very hard because she's used a fantastic present perfect continuous there.
That's
Uh,
lovely. I've been living in Leon for 3 years. Good job, Tatiana.
who else do
Oh,
we have? Julia from Bergamo as well. Hey, Julia.
Julia is my friend from last webinar I did last week. Julia was in my 10:13 with Simon last week. Welcome, Julia. Good to see you again.
Very nice. You have yourself a fan.
Oh no, I don't think so. Okay, buying a house today. That's what we're going to be talking about. So, Fabio, we have a beautiful apartment here. What can you see in this picture?
Good question. What can we see there? So in the background, we have a lovely red sofa or couch, and maybe it folds out as a bed, I think. We have
I
an
think it's a
armchair.
sofa bed, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. We have a nice looking grey armchair. I think that fabric probably feels quite nice and soft. We have big windows, maybe opening out onto a balcony. I imagine you get a lot of light in there. Nice shiny floor and some steps leading up to. Would you say that's probably a mezzanine up there?
A mezzanine or an attic, maybe?
Maybe an attic. Yeah, I like a good mezzanine.
What could be the American word for attic, do you think?
Hmm. Is loft an American word or a British word? Would you say
I
loft?
I would say attic is British and loft is American. That's
Hmm.
my initial feeling. Would you agree? I'm not 100% on that though.
That's hard to say. So, as a kid, I think I always used loft, but my parents weren't originally from the UK, so maybe they picked up an Americanism somewhere along the way. Hmm.
That's interesting. It could be though, couldn't it? Mezzanine is a lovely word. What's a mezzanine, Fabio?
Well, we actually we have a lot of these here in Lyon because we have very tall ceilings very high ceilings in our apartments. So mezzanine is kind of like an extra floor, but not quite an extra floor. So you go up the stairs and you can see out onto the room below, like an inside balcony.
They're really beautiful. You get them often in apartments in Rome, actually.
Mm.
I've seen them in apartments there because, again, old apartments with very beautiful high ceilings. So there's lots of space, and often you'll see the bed on the mezzanine level, and then the living room below.
Yeah, that's
That's
in
very
fact, I've
nice.
got a very similar setup here in my flat, in my apartment in Lyon. I have just a little separate bedroom mezzanine looking down onto the rest of my cozy apartment.
Wonderful. So today we're going to be talking about idyllic homes. We're going to be looking a little bit at estate agents' techniques, and we're going to be reading a short description of a property. So I guess the first question, Fabio, what would be an idyllic type of home for you?
That really depends. I think a lot of people would have different responses to that. So for me, an idyllic home would probably be something in a city. It would still be maybe an apartment, but like a really fancy penthouse apartment on a top floor with a roof terrace and a swimming pool. I know a lot of people would probably go for a big house in the countryside with sheep and a well, and some land, and I don't know, lots of rooms. But yeah, for me, I think it's all about the location. How about you, Peter? What would your ideal home be?
A really idyllic home for me would be a giant house in the countryside. I'm not sure about the sheep. I can take and leave sheep to be honest, but a big house in the countryside with lots of rooms, and for me more than anything else, lots of land. I would like to have space to plant, to grow vegetables, to have animals. That's what I really, really like. I think that would be very idyllic for me.
Didn't you recently move out of the big city and into the countryside yourself?
I did actually. I work in Florence, but I live in Veneto, and I live in the countryside in Veneto. I lived in a very small apartment in the center of Florence for a few years, but I recently moved to a very, very small village in the countryside in Veneto, and I like it very much. It's very nice. It suits me. It suits me very well. It fits me very well. It's very nice. I want to just say hi to a couple of extra people who I've seen have left comments. We have Giuseppe from Naples. We have Matilde,
Oh,
who I
there.
assume is from Leon.
Yes, Mathilde is one of our team here. Hey, Mathilde.
Hi, Matilde. And we have, I'm terrible with French pronunciation, I have to say.
Would you like
So
me to have a go?
I would prefer that. Thank you,
Hi,
Fabio.
Virginie. Virginie is another of our students. Nice to see you.
Welcome, Virginie. It's lovely to see some international students on this webinar today. I really appreciate you guys logging on.
And
Okay,
Virginie says, hi.
so the first question, Fabio, could you read this for me, please?
With pleasure. So, number one, if you were house hunting, what type of house would you look for?
So, house hunting. This is a really nice expression because to hunt is to search really strongly for something, to chase it, and to potentially even kill it, to eat it. You know, so I could go and hunt an animal in the forests. Um, so when we use the term house hunting, it's when we're searching for a house, but really searching with a strong intention to buy a house. Um, and what I'd like everybody to do, all of the people, I would like them to answer this question. So if you were house hunting, what type of house would you look for? So just answer in the comments. That's a lovely non-verbal there, Fabio. Really good. Yeah, yeah. Just answer in the
This
comments
way.
with what type of house that you would be looking for. And then I'm going to ask Fabio the same kind of question. What type of house would you be looking for, Fabio? So apartment,
Hmm.
house, kind of thing.
It's hard to say. Again, I think so. I've never looked for a house to buy before. I've always been a kind of city dweller, so I guess a big house wouldn't really be my cup of tea. I'd probably search for a place like a big apartment that's big enough to have all the good things of a house, but central enough to be located near to things. Uh, but yeah, I think any different type of house could have its joys. I think I could be quite happy living somewhere kooky, like a houseboat or a windmill, to be honest. But yeah, probably I'd go for a nice big apartment in a city centre, quite modern, with some kind of balcony or roof terrace, so I can go outside without interacting with other people too much if I choose to.
Which
Not
is
that I don't like
important
other
at the
people,
moment.
but
Of
yeah,
course.
absolutely.
It's
How
not
about
permitted.
how about you? It'd be a big house in the countryside, lots of
I,
land.
actually, I am house hunting at the moment. I moved back into a small house and I'm looking to move into a slightly bigger house. So I am house hunting at the moment. My partner would like to be a bit closer to the city, but I would still like to be in the countryside. So we're looking for something that is between 10 and 15 kilometers from Verona instead of right now when we're, 20 kilometers. So still a house, still with a garden, with a garage. A garage is very, very important to me, but a little bit closer to the city, I think. And I think the most important thing is that it has better public transport links than what we have at the moment because we don't have very good public transport links just now.
How about you, students? Does anyone have any strong feelings about what type of house you would look for if you were house hunting? I see no comments yet, but it could be just the delay. Oh, here we go. Luca says, I would like a big apartment with a big balcony in the city centre of Bologna. That sounds nice. Bologna is such a beautiful city as well.
Well, the
Uh,
center of Bologna is lovely,
mm,
really, really beautiful. And you can see all the towers and the minarets of the buildings from your big balcony, Luca. Well, I wish you every success in finding this apartment.
that sounds great, right? And Tatiana says, if I were house hunting, I would look for a house with a lot of light and a fireplace, a garden, and especially with a large kitchen.
A fireplace is actually one of the other things that I am looking for in a new house at the moment. It's not by any means a deal breaker, but I want a fireplace if possible.
That's nice. I like the idea of, yeah, on a cold night in winter, sitting on your armchair in front of the fireplace. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who else have we got here? Fabiola says, I look for a penthouse in the heart of Rome with a terrace.
Would we maybe say I would look for a penthouse, given that we would
Hmm.
like to have something that's hypothetical? I would look for a penthouse in the heart of Rome with a terrace. Yeah,
Hmm.
I would love to live in the heart of Rome. I lived in Rome for 3 years, but I could not afford to live in the heart of Rome, and I did not have a terrace. But I would certainly love to have a penthouse in the heart of Rome.
Yeah, that sounds good, doesn't it? And one more. Giulia Piazzini says, I would look for a small apartment with a big balcony, well connected with transports, or I guess because transport is uncountable, with means of transport or with transport.
Yeah, good. Okay, Fabio, would you prefer to live in the country or in a city? Would you sacrifice size for location?
So me, I'm a city guy through and through. I think if I lived in the countryside, I'd be bored. I'd feel a bit separate from everything. Although, to be honest, right now in the middle of a city, I think we're all quite separate from each other. So maybe in the current situation, living in the country would be cool. Yeah. Would you sacrifice size for location? I'd say yes. I think location's the most important thing uh, that there is. To be honest, if you love your house or apartment, that's cool. But if you step outside that door and don't like where you are, I think that's important. Unless you plan on spending all your time at home, like we do at the moment. How about you?
Exactly.
Would you sacrifice size for location?
Actually, this is something we're talking about at the moment because for the money that we want to spend on a house. Um, if it were my choice, we would live completely in the countryside. If it were my partner's choice, we would live in the center of the city. So we're finding a compromise, which is in the middle. So we're compromising on the location because it's not in the center of the city for her. But we're also compromising on the size because if we were to buy a house in the middle of the countryside, it would be much bigger than the location that we have decided on. So I think we've got a compromise both on location and size, really. So yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's nice. We have a couple more here from Virginie, who in fact works in the in this field. She works in something to do with property. So let's see what Virginie has to say. I prefer an apartment in the city centre with trees on the terrace. Nice French spelling of terrace there in English. Does anyone know how we would spell terrace? It's slightly different. I'll let anyone respond in the comments if they know. And 1 room per child and a big kitchen. Nice. That sounds good. I like that Virginie has a very clear idea of exactly what she likes. The trees on the terrace, 1 room per child. Big kitchens seem very popular with our students today. And Julia has the correct spelling here. Yes, terrace with a C in English.
Well done, Julia. Good job.
And Giuseppe says, I prefer a small cottage, not so far from the city. Does that sound good to you, Peter?
That's kind of what I'm in right now, actually. Yeah. Again, I would prefer Giuseppe because, again, we're talking hypothetically. So I would prefer a small cottage, not so far from the city. Yeah, but that's what I live in right now. Great.
Maybe you can invite Giuseppe around at some point. And
Absolutely. Well, Giuseppe's in Naples, right?
Might be quite far, yeah.
Yeah, maybe in May or June.
And Tatiana says that she loves living in the city, but she really needs to spend some time. Preposition, Tatiana. Sometime in nature, I would say. So she needs 2 houses. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good compromise to me.
Yeah,
you got to do what you got to do.
Okay, if you need to, you need to. No problem.
Catherine approves. Hey, Catherine.
How many bedrooms would your ideal flat or house have, Fabio?
Good question. How many bedrooms? I suppose I'd need at least 2. Let's say 2. I don't want too big a place. I don't want to get lost. I kind of like a place to be cozy and compact. But, in addition to my room, I don't have any children, so no need for that. But it would be nice to have a room for guests to stay in. So either 2 or just go all out and have about 8 and just have a mansion. One or the other. How about you?
I think at least 3. I have a son, and he needs a bedroom for himself, of course. I need a bedroom for myself. That's quite important. And I work from home quite a lot, so having a 3rd bedroom as kind of an office would be very, very useful as well. But then that could also be a guest bedroom, so it could be quite useful to have at least 3, I think.
Nice. I like the way you think. That's good.
This is actually a question I'd like anybody in the comments to answer. Where do you go to buy a house? I think Fabio probably knows the answer already to this.
Maybe, although I may only know the British answer to it. I think there might be a couple of different ways to answer this.
Yeah, I think so too. So give them just a minute or two in the comments. If anyone can tell me where I would go to buy a house, the person or the particular type of office or shop in which I would go to buy a house, that would be wonderful. Have you ever bought a house, Fabio?
No, I can't say I have. I'm firmly on the rental ladder at the moment. But rental ladder, not a ladder. It's the opposite of a ladder. So I'm renting a house still, even in my mid-30s. But I'd quite like to buy a place, even as an investment thing. But also, wouldn't it be nice to have a place that's your own, so you can decorate it, so you can, I don't know, make it your own. Have a project to work on. A
It
couple of
depends what type of project. I bought a house, the small cottage that I'm living in now, and it's taken me 5 years to restore it. I'm almost finished now, but it's finished, and now I'm moving into a different house.
Nice. Well,
I
I
think
suppose, yeah.
I think we
Endless
have the answer
project.
in the
We
comments.
do. So we have from Marie in Lyon says real estate, and Catherine says in New Zealand they say a real estate agent. And there
Very
we
good.
go. Good work, guys. And
So an
so we have
estate
the
agency or an estate agent. An estate agent obviously would be the person. And in America, this would be a real estate agency. So very similar, just with real estate agency beforehand. And the person is a realtor. So estate agent in the UK, realtor in the US.
very
Okay,
nice.
here we have some euphemisms for real estate. So when, for example, you see an advert in a newspaper for a house, or an advert in a newspaper is possibly what you used to see 20 years ago. Maybe now you would see an advert on the internet for a house. And you read a little bit about it, and often estate agents will use euphemisms to make properties sound more enticing. Fabio, could you maybe think of a synonym for enticing?
Maybe alluring or intriguing.
Good. Yeah, I could say something that's very, very attractive. So I could say enticing, alluring, intriguing, something that really makes me very, very interested in something. And here we have a matching exercise. I'm going to give everyone watching just a couple of minutes to try and match these up together while Fabio and I discuss these words a little bit. So take a couple of minutes to try and match them together. Fabio, do you live in a lively area in Lyon?
I'd say I do. Yeah, I live in quite a lively area. We're quite close to university at here. So there's a university just around the corner from me. In fact, two within about 10 minutes walk. So I have lots of bars full of students who drink on Fridays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, every day. So there's always someone singing or shouting outside the window. But at the same time, it's quite fancy too. Like there are a lot of nice little places in the area. It's got a good mix. It's lively, but also kind of chic and elegant at the same time. I find it's a perfect
Okay.
middle ground.
So if it's lively, lively would be the positive euphemism that a real estate agent would give you. And then that could really mean that instead it's actually noisy. No. So potentially the real estate agent, you could say it's a really wonderful, lively place. You buy the house, and then the first night that you sleep there, suddenly you find that the very innocuous looking building on the other side of the road is actually an all night nightclub. It would certainly be a lively area.
Yeah, they're not lying, are they? What they've done is they've cleverly used a euphemism on you.
Absolutely. Okay, so if something is idyllic, I would say that means it's something that's often very, very beautiful, really at the absolute peak of what you'd want from a place to live. Have you ever lived in an idyllic place, Fabio?
I can't say I have, no. Idyllic for me, yeah. Like the picture that it paints is something like a beautiful landscape piece of art, with I don't know, lots of plants and lots of space, maybe quite sort of rustic and beautiful. Imagine the sun rising over it. As you say the words. But yeah, idyllic. No, I mean, I've lived in cities, in suburbs, and so forth. Maybe the place where you live will be closer to idyllic, would you say?
It's very beautiful here. I think really idyllic for me is somewhere like the Dolomites in Italy, or in France, maybe like the Ardèche is really quite idyllic. It's very beautiful. It's quite rural. It's very pretty, lots of space, sunlight, beautiful rivers and mountains and forests. That's what I get when I think of the word idyllic, I think. Oh, we
Yeah,
have
that's.
someone else in the comments. We have Simon from Leon.
Hey, Mohammed. Just want to say hello to me, not to you, Peter.
Not to me, no. Mohammed obviously doesn't care about me. I'm devastated, Mohammed. Really, I am.
Nice to see you, man.
If something has great potential, Fabio, do you think that means it's finished, or do you think it needs some work?
Well, I'd say definitely the concept of potential means that it's in some way not finished. Imagine a precocious teenager who's maybe an 18-year-old footballer who's very good, but not quite a finished product yet. Maybe just starting to play for the senior team, has great potential, but needs to
Needs some work.
practice, needs some
Yeah,
work.
needs
Yes.
a studio flat. Do you live in a studio flat just now?
I do, yes, yeah. It's all in one very convenient, practical room. At any point in time, I can see my entire apartment, no matter where I am. Convenient.
Yeah, convenient. Absolutely, 100%. If something's a period property, we have a lot of period properties in Italy. You know, a period property would be a property from a particular period in history. So maybe something that is from, I don't know, like the 20s or 30s are very, very popular periods in Italy, very beautiful. What about in Leon? Do you have a lot of period properties?
Absolutely. So, tiny history lesson. Lyon, in fact, 100 to 200 years ago, used to have a lot of silk working factories. Before Italy was the silk capital of, the north of Italy was the silk working capital of Europe. It was Lyon, and so we had these big, tall ceilings, so we could fit the old loom machines in. And a lot of those buildings have now been converted into blocks of flats. So we have all these beautiful old apartments with really tall ceilings, with old exposed wooden beams, hence all of the mezzanines as well because of the high ceilings. So yeah, it's really full of very historical, very characteristic properties from particular periods of time. Also, we have different quarters of the city, different neighborhoods with very different architectural styles. So you can almost see the development of the architecture throughout the city in
That's
different places.
fascinating. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I must visit you in Leon at some point soon.
Absolutely. Well, maybe not
Okay.
that soon.
So, Fabio, idyllic. If a real estate agent says something is idyllic, what do you think it might be?
Well, I guess, I'd imagine something beautiful in the countryside, very pretty with lots of plants. But then if I thought about it more, probably they're saying it's far away from everything. Probably they're saying it's isolated.
Absolutely, 100%. Idyllic location. It's very beautiful, but maybe there's not even a road to get there. Maybe you have to. In fact, I remember I went to see a house once that was advertised as an idyllic location, and there wasn't a road. The road stopped, and then we had to walk about a kilometer up a dirt track. And the estate agent was, oh, no problem. All you need is a Panda 4x4. Oh, okay, great.
Very nice.
Oh,
In fact, we have a student here who also lived in an idyllic place at some point. Tatiana lived in the Abbey on the shore of a lake. Now that sounds properly idyllic.
oh yeah, that sounds like my dream house, to be honest. Really, very, very pretty. I imagine, was this in Russia, Tatiana, in St. Petersburg, or was this in France? I'll let her answer in the comments. So we talked about something with great potential. So if something has great potential, it could mean that it's a little bit run down. If something is run down, it means that it needs work. Maybe it needs restoration. It hasn't been touched for a while. Have you ever lived in a rundown property, Fabio?
Good question. No, I don't think I have. I think everything's been okay. Apart from when I was a student at university, it was run down, but only after my friends and I lived there. It was fine beforehand. How about you?
When I bought my current house, as I said, I've restored it. So when I first
Mm.
moved in, one of the first things I did was to swap the kitchen and living room around. Um, but in doing that, it meant that I needed to change the drainage system completely and dig a new drainage channel into what had been the living room and what was to become the kitchen. Because I did all of the work myself, I had to dig a ditch right down the middle of the room. And for about 2 weeks, basically, whenever I had to go through the room, I had to jump over a giant hole. So certainly my house was quite run down for a few weeks then. It needed a lot of work. It was okay. Just needed in the middle of the night when I went to the bathroom, just needed to remember that I had to jump over the enormous hole in my kitchen slash living room.
Nice element of adventure. Makes you feel like you're playing a video game every time you go to the
Yeah,
bathroom.
yeah. If something is a studio flat, you said that in your studio flat you can currently see everything. So potentially that could be very similar to a cupboard. Do you live in a cupboard, Fabio?
Yep, under the stairs. I live in a cupboard. They slide my meals under the door every day, twice. Nope, I actually live in a lovely studio flat. It's very nice, but I can see how one man's lovely, cozy studio flat could be another man's cupboard.
Sure. So a cupboard is obviously where, so in a kitchen, it's where I would keep my pasta in the cupboard. I put my pasta inside, I put my drinks inside, my biscuits, whatever. And sometimes, if real estate agent says it's a studio flat, you could consider it to be the same size as a cupboard or similar size. So period property, we talked about it being an old property, more than 10 years old. This could be a positive thing or it could be a negative thing, to be perfectly honest. It just depends.
Yeah.
Absolutely depends. Okay, we have some more euphemisms here. And again, while we're talking about these, it would be great if you guys could think about what the ones on the left match to on the right. If you want to put them in the comments, put your answers. That would be fantastic. So, Fabio, is your studio apartment in Leon? Is it cozy?
Yeah, it's very cozy. Yeah, so I suppose when I say it's cozy, it's not just small. It's kind of nice, small. Like I don't know, it feels like a hug sometimes. Because it's small, but it's got very comfortable furniture and I don't know, some nice warm colors and stuff. So yeah, I'd say it's a very cozy place. It makes me feel snug.
I often associate the word cozy with something that's warm as
Mm,
well. I think of like a cozy armchair, but I would then think about it of being like in front of the fire. I think about
yeah,
it as comfortable and warm.
absolutely. Yeah.
Mm. What
Hmm.
about unique? Would you say your flat in Leon is unique, or is it the same as all of the others?
Hard to say. Let's say, yeah, it's pretty unique. I think. So the guy who rents it to me bought this. Well, it's not unique actually, because the one next door is exactly the same. However, he bought the two apartments and yeah, sort of filled them with really new, nice furnishings and fittings, and so it's quite modern, but also the exposed beams are from the mid 19th century, and the floor is still the same from the mid 19th century. So yeah, it's a nice combination of modern and period, which I quite like. It suits me a lot, I think.
That's quite unique.
I'd say that's quite unique. Yeah.
We have an answer from Federica in the comments as well.
There you go. Federica says cozy. could mean small. Absolutely. So I think, yeah, if an estate agent says to you, oh, I've got a really nice apartment, it's really cozy, they're trying to elicit the type of response that Peter was saying, that you think about being warm in front of a fire with maybe smoking a pipe and reading a good book on a lovely armchair. But in fact, when you arrive, you may find that it is just small or cramped. This word cramped, does this have the same positive association as cozy for you, Peter?
Absolutely not. If I think of something that's cramped, I would think of trying to fit a whole family in an old Fiat 500, um, trying to get everybody into a very, very small space.
That sounds like
If
my family holidays when I was a kid, actually.
yeah, mine too. Yeah. We didn't have a Fiat 500. We had a Triumph Dolomite, which is a very old equivalent in England.
Nice.
But yes, I would say something that's very small, possibly uncomfortably small. I think if it's cramped. It's not very nice.
Yeah, so we have these wonderful words like the difference between cozy and cramped. You could be describing the same thing. They are synonyms, but one has a very positive association, one has a very negative association. And one of our teachers, Amaya, hey Amaya, has come up with another great word here. Snug is a nice synonym for cozy, nice and warm, and yeah.
If I say I'm snug, I would imagine being under my duvet in bed with the covers pulled up to my chin, very, very nice and warm and comfortable. That's kind of how I would imagine being snug.
As snug as a bug in a rug.
Yeah. I imagine if you live in Lyon, then your apartment isn't secluded at all.
Nope, absolutely not. Right in the city centre, like I can see people sort of outside the window. I can always see about 20 different windows at once. Yeah, very close to the city centre. Lots going on. Very different from your place, I think, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, I live in the center of a village, but it's a very small village. So it's like the house isn't really secluded, but maybe the village is quite secluded because the village is it's on top of a very small hill in the countryside. So I suppose you could say it's a secluded location, but the house itself isn't so secluded.
Mm.
It's not basic. It's I've got all the things I need in the house, but I think the village is basic because we don't even have a supermarket.
That's pretty basic.
Yeah, we have a restaurant. We have a pizzeria, but it's only open in the summer. So, and there's certainly not good transport here at all. There's no public transport, actually. What's the public transport like in Lyon?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, a lot of striking, as is the French way. But very often when there's a strike, the tram stops just in front of Mayes, so that's quite nice at least. We get people piling off in front of us. So the transport's really good. We've got a very good network of metros and trams and buses. I feel like it's very easy to get from one part of Lyon to any other part of Lyon. I'm from London, so I'm really accustomed to, okay, it's got a great transport network, but such a big city, you take 1 hour to go from anywhere to anywhere else. I feel like in Lyon, I could get anywhere in the city in half an hour, which is really nice for a city that gives you everything.
That's great. Really useful. Yeah. Okay. So if something is described by the estate agent as unique, what do you think that may mean? What could be the negative version of this?
It's really unique. I expect something that's really maybe like my apartment with sort of different fun features. Maybe I'll arrive and I'll see purple walls and paintings of clowns and I don't know, a sofa that's shaped like a big tacky heart or something. Yes, Tatiana, well done. I think, yes, unique means the decoration is bizarre. Yes, Federico,
Absolutely.
also well done. Yeah. How about
If something's secluded?
So again, I think the estate agent makes me want to think, it's far away from sort of all the noise and chaos, and it'll just be really cozy and snug. But probably I'll find it's in the middle of nowhere and there's nothing particularly interesting around.
Absolutely. Maybe not even a road. If something's basic,
So again, basic. They want me to think it's nice and simple, and it doesn't have any extra stuff that you don't need. But in fact, it could be that you don't even have stuff that you do need. I imagine if it says basic, maybe the estate agent really means it's unfurnished.
there's absolutely nothing in it, effectively. It's like a prison, four walls and no carpets. And then if something has good transport connections, probably it's in the very center of the city and there's going to be a lot of noise. Maybe there's a bus stop immediately outside the house, but that might mean that you get 20 buses an hour.
And in fact, I think one of the people watching today, Marie, lives on the same street as my English school, and the trams wake her up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, that's the downside of having good transport connections. Well done to Tatiana and Federica also for making those connections. Okay. Marie is confirming this every morning.
Oh, this is why I couldn't live in the city. Honestly, I would really, really, really struggle to live in the city. You know, we have one of our schools in Milan. Um, the underground goes reasonably close to the school, not so close, but reasonably close. But every time the underground passes, the table in just one of the classrooms just shakes a little bit.
Like that kind of Jurassic Park shaking.
Yeah, just a little bit, not very much, just a little bit. I find it really off-putting. Nobody seems to mind, but I struggle with it. Okay, here we have an actual full description of a house from a real estate agent. Obviously, this is filled with euphemisms. It's very, very positive. So I'm going to ask Fabio to read this, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it and think what might actually this house be like. So could you read this for everybody, please, Fabio?
Okay, so this is a rare opportunity to purchase a custom cottage in a stunning location, perched on the edge of a cliff. You'll be greeted every morning by the soothing sound of ocean and have endless opportunities to gaze at the beautiful horizon. This cozy and unique property offers the opportunity for a peaceful way of life. Only a 15-minute drive from the quaint local village, you really can live the best of both worlds.
It's a fantastic advert. Sounds amazing.
Doesn't it?
Do you think it's really
there. Do
you think it's really like this? What do you think? What do you think it's really like? It's stunning location, perched on the edge of a cliff every morning by the soothing sound of the ocean.
It sounds too good to be true to me, doesn't it, Peter? Should we pick this apart a little bit and see what
Sure.
the picture behind the picture is? So it's a rare opportunity for a reason, perhaps. Obviously, the location is stunning, perched on the edge of a cliff. You can't deny that that's stunning. But would you want to live perched on the edge of a cliff?
Maybe you have to walk up the cliff to get to the front door. That's what I think. Maybe the only way to get to it is to walk up a very steep path or drive up a very steep road, potentially. It says it's only a 15-minute drive, but it doesn't say what the drive is like. Maybe you need a tractor.
And that word quaint, that local village is described as quaint. So this is already 15 minutes away. What would you understand from the word quaint, Peter?
I would think of something traditional. But if an estate agent is using the word quaint, I would use the word quaint to describe something traditional. If an estate agent is using it, potentially that could mean backward, incredibly basic. The local village could maybe consist of 3 houses and a church, and that's it.
And already that's 15 minutes drive away. So probably if you want to buy some eggs or I don't know, light bulbs, then you might be going a full 30, 45 minutes, I guess.
Absolutely. I like the soothing sound of the ocean. So what I got the impression of here was it's right next to a port, and every morning you have giant ships going past your house, going "Bah," like this. I, I I don't know. That could be soothing to some people, I suppose.
Angry seagulls squabbling over crumbs.
Yeah, potentially. Endless opportunities to gaze at the beautiful horizon, potentially because there's nothing else to do. What do you think, Fabio?
Yeah. No, I think you might be right there. And also, if it's cozy, am I going to have a lot of space, or is cozy a code word for very, very small? Also, unique.
Unique.
Hmm.
Is it by any chance a garage on top of a cliff?
That sounds great to me.
Very cozy, very unique, beautiful location. I'm not sure about this place, Fabio. I'm not sure I'm going to go and live there.
Yeah, okay. I'll stick with my apartment in Lyon. Thanks very much.
Okay, I'm going to just skip forward very quickly and going to ask everyone these questions, people at home in the comments, and also Fabio. Which factors are the most important to you when choosing a home?
What do you think, guys? Write your answers. For me, I'd say location is number one. And I don't know, there are certain stylistic factors that I look for. I think something can be nice regardless of whether it's older or more modern. But yeah, something that I find stylish and cool. How about you?
I can tell you exactly what they are because we've been talking about this a lot recently. For me, it needs to be less than a kilometer from the countryside, so I need to be able to get out of the house and be in the countryside within 10 minutes. It needs to have a garage, and it needs to have a garden. And these are the only the real deal breakers for me. They're the most important. I would love to have a fireplace as well, but garage, garden, and at 10 minutes from the countryside are non-negotiable things for me. What's the worst mistake you can make when selecting a place to live?
Maybe not doing your research properly could be a big mistake. Yeah, maybe not looking at enough places and making the decision too soon based on an unthought out gut instinct. I don't know. I haven't got much experience of making mistakes with places to live. Have you ever gone somewhere and regretted it?
Yeah, mostly because I restored another house a few years ago, and it took a lot more work than I expected because I bought it with my heart and not with my head. And it took a lot of work to put back together, to be honest. And that I think was a mistake, absolutely. So I think you're right. Think about it and see a lot of places and think about it some more. Number three, we've actually already answered, so I'll go on to number four. Which country or region would your dream home be situated in?
So you know what? Like as I've said, I'm a city guy. Like Lyon's perfect for me. But if I had to, let's say, pick somewhere else, I've always imagined maybe having a beautiful top floor penthouse in the village in Manhattan. You know, either the East Village or the West Village in Manhattan in New York. I think that would be a cool place to live. How about you?
The Alps, the Dolomites. I think around Cortina, around that area there. It's the most beautiful place I've ever been. I love living in Italy. I love the country I live in, and I find the Dolomites to be the most beautiful part of Italy. So I would very much love to go and live there. That would be where my dream house is. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Countryside, sea, or big city? I suppose we've already answered, really. So last one: do you prefer modern properties or older homes with more personality?
I'm guessing we're going to have very different answers to this. I'm guessing you're
I
going to
think
say
so.
an older home with more personality. I'd veer towards a modern property, but a modern property can be very sort of sparse. And have you ever seen a picture of like a footballer's home. They all look
Yeah.
exactly the same, and they have no furniture, just white walls and a big TV and a sofa.
Yeah.
I guess like that seems like hell a little bit to me. So kind of a bit of the both. I'd say a modern property with personality for me would be the ideal middle
Okay.
ground. Some rustic elements, but stuff that works and is clean and has right angles for some reason. And you, older home with more
Um,
personality?
well, yeah, I mean, if you put two houses side by side and one was old and one was new, I'd probably say I prefer the older one. But that's honestly less important to me than the other things that I talked about before. For me, as I said, being in the countryside and having a garage and having a garden are far more important than the house itself. Um, as long as I have those things, I'm pretty much happy. I don't really care that much about the house. Garage, garden, and countryside. That's all I'm really interested in.
And some sheep and a big hole in the middle of the floor so you can jump over it on your way to the bathroom.
Well, I could always just make a big hole in the middle of the floor, to be honest. Like I can add that to any house, it's not a
Yeah,
problem.
potentially.
Um, Thank you very much, Fabio. I'd really like to say thank you
Thank you, Peter.
to all of the students who've participated and all of the lovely people from France, particularly because this is the first time that I've really interacted with our students in France. So thank you very, very much, guys.
Thanks,
And
everyone.
yeah, I'll see you all soon on my next webinar on Friday morning.
Don't forget, we've got these every hour, every day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. with loads of our great teachers from around France, Italy, Spain. And yeah, they're all looking forward to interacting with you. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay safe, stay at home, and keep on studying. See you soon.